Hey everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh, that is Caleb, and boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, oh my word, we have a Husker football schedule again. It's time for Husker Football Predictions 3.0 on the season. I could not be more excited to talk Husker football, but there's just a ton to go through. Caleb, how you doing?
I'm excited. It feels like we have already done this before because we have.
What?
But I'm excited to do another season's prediction video. Glad we're having a season. Hopefully, COVID can just stay away and we can play all of our games.
Yeah.
And
an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right?
Exactly.
Let's give you guys a lot of apples. All right.
A
lot of apples.
Everybody just, again, the hazmat suits. You know those little like those bubbles, like the ball game that you had where you collide into each other,
walking around in a beach ball.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I think that's a good idea.
That'd be fantastic.
It's a weird feeling doing predictions in like the middle of September, like a few weeks into what would have been the start of the season already. Like weird, eerie feeling with college football already going on in other conferences, and we're here doing a predictions video. Like what? But I couldn't be happier though. We're gonna talk a little bit about the Husker football team as a whole and talk about some of our strengths and weaknesses before we talk specifically about each individual matchup. We're just gonna talk about our team a little bit and go through it all. So Caleb, take us away. Let's talk about the Husker football offense for a second. What we got?
Everybody knows the biggest question is obviously who is going to start.
Oh, starting off hot.
The quarterback situation. What is going to happen? Adrian has been the starter. McCaffrey, when needed, looked very nice for his true freshman season. He did not burn that red shirt either, so he will be a redshirt freshman this year. And really interested to see what happened. Adrian Martinez has had his ups and downs, to say the least, at Nebraska. Yeah. Although I would argue mostly downs, as
well, in the past year and a half, that's mostly downs.
We have not won many games with him as our starting quarterback. And as much as you want to argue everything else, I have not been feeling very great about Adrian. It's pretty tough. Pro Football Focus ranked Adrian 129 out of 130 for the QBs and FBS. Yeah,
and then that's like a statistical analysis. It's not based off opinion. It's based off statistical rankings, based off their formulas for college football quarterbacks. And so it's Pro Football Focus is one of my favorite sites. And when I saw that article, I was like, oh my word, you've got to be kidding me. 129.
Quite shocking because he was on the Heisman watch list at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's a struggle, man. He had a 55.3 passer grade in PFF's rankings, which was 123rd of 130 FBS QBs, and his big time throw rate, which is basically a stat about throws downfield in the biggest moments of the game, like on third down and in the second half of games when the game's close. Basically, he was dead last, 130th in that ranking last year. And I mean, realistically, again, coming off of our freshman year, we were so excited about Adrian Martinez. All of us were.
Yeah.
But every game last year just seemed to get worse and worse. And, whatever it was, the yips, the lack of confidence, just a lack of faith in his ability with his arm, or a step back and just in overall preparation or whatever it was. Frost, talked about the preparation aspect of things for Adrian Martinez last year and how he didn't seem to be as prepped as he should have been. But what type of excuse is that? Or why does that happen if that's actually the case? So those are some big time worries.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, he just looked flat out bad. I mean, those long passes, he was so indecisive. On those rollout plays, I mean, if everybody in the crowd felt like he was holding the ball forever, and there'd be guys open downfield, he just wouldn't throw it, and if he would, it was late and behind the guy, over the guy, just anywhere but in the right spot. It felt like most of the time.
We can't even talk about screen passes or dump offs and the problems that we had in the flats.
Just the easy stuff that he looked so competent in his freshman year just seemed to fade away, and it was really confusing.
So the question is, how big of a leash are you going to give Adrian Martinez this year? I'd imagine you're on the pretty short side.
I mean, I feel like I've seen enough of him that if you believe that there's upside with another quarterback, I would bench him, honestly. I've seen enough. I've seen 2 years. We've won 9 games. We're 9-15.
But I mean, at the end of the day, though, when it comes to predictions, it sounds like he's going to be the starter. He's going to be the man day one. We're playing Ohio State.
And he
Adrian
did
Martinez is
really
going to be in the
well against
backfield.
Ohio State last year.
Hey, no Jeff Okudah this time around.
Yeah, or Chase Young.
Good sign.
Doesn't matter. We all know they reload and just
yeah. But so I mean, we're gonna talk more about Adrian Martinez and Luke McCaffrey and about when this could potentially swap situations here. When at some point Luke, I think both of us expect at some point this season Luke will be the starter for Nebraska. The biggest question is when. Will it be before Ohio State, which I don't think is very likely, after Ohio State, a few weeks after Ohio State, after the first 4 weeks? When is that mark? And maybe we can talk about that in our predictions after we kind of preview the rest of the team.
So obviously after the quarterback situation, which has been spicy, and it even was last year, the wide receiver core is equally as exciting in my opinion.
True.
We lost JD Spielman to TCU.
Yep.
That was big news. That's a heartbreaker. He was going to be the all-time receiving leader with it, barring an injury. He was going to be the all-time receiving leader at Nebraska. It's weird going to have him being in the record book and not finish out at Nebraska.
Yep.
It's surprising.
But like with that said, though, you know, we're bringing in the big news of the offseason was Omar Manning, a 4-star field stretcher, a big man, 6'4", absolutely athletic, and the highest ranked wide receiver JUCO in the offseason. Chose Nebraska, and that's kind of the key this year, along with our playmaker, the phenom, Wan'Dale Robinson, of course. So we're really putting a lot of stock in Omar Manning being a playmaker for this team and being an option that Adrian Martinez desperately missed in Stanley Morgan last year. We saw the effect that that losing Stanley Morgan had on Adrian, where, you know, freshman year, he was chucking that ball deep, trusting Stanley Morgan to make the play. And hopefully that can be what Omar Manning is for Adrian Martinez early on this season.
Exactly. I mean, it'll just be nice to take some of the pressure off Wan'Dale Robinson too, as obviously he's probably going to step more into that wide receiver role. You know, as long as our other
slot.
as long as our guys stay healthy, especially with JD being gone, you know, definitely filling in that role. And that kind of,
he'll get his fair share of sweeps though. That's for sure.
Oh yes, he's going to get his sweeps. He'll probably still get like probably 2 or 3, you know, carries a game, something like that.
I'd imagine, yeah.
And yes, a big bodied target, something besides a tight end that we can kind of trust to go up and get the ball. And, you know, with Stanley, that was obviously huge for Nebraska. And adding a couple more inches of height, speed, and everything that he has, it's really exciting and really important for Nebraska football this year.
Like a big question. I mean, we've seen it in the NFL already. The injuries this season in the NFL have been significant and frequent. And depth is going to matter this year in college football, even with a shorter schedule. It always does, but in a year where we're going to have less offseason to prepare their bodies to you know, for this workload, you'd imagine depth is going to matter. The injuries are going to happen. And so the biggest question, I think, is if we have an injury to Wan'Dale or Omar Manning, what happens with this receiving core? Because you're looking at like Cade Warner, Alante Brown, Marcus Fleming, Xavier Betts, all these young guys, you know, Cade Warner plus the young guys, basically. And like, can Cade Warner step up to be that third guy, you know, or is it going to take one of the freshmen to really be a playmaker? It's a tough conversation to have. Something that we're going to have to keep our eye on early on in this season.
Yeah, agreed. I think our tight ends are actually going to be pretty okay. We have a lot of depth there. And I think
Jack Stoll, baby.
Yeah, more than I think than just the catching. I think we're going to have some blocking ability finally on the edge. We're going to have guys that are going to be able to set the edge.
Shout out Jared Bubak.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be nice. And I think we have a few guys there that are going to be able to set that edge for us. Really be able to steal some blocks, again, for sweeps for Wan'Dale Robinson and for, you know, Mills. I think it's going to be really nice.
For sure. I mean, like, moving forward, the offensive line, of course, you know, we had a very young core last year and made a lot of mistakes. Cam Jurgens was kind of the highlight in that regard as a tight end transitioning to center and playing his first year as a freshman, starting at center for Nebraska. That's a big task, and he struggled really badly early on. The line started to find a little bit of groove in the last few games, and we saw the running game starting to pick up. I mean, where are you at with this offensive line this year? We're getting Christian Gaylord back. Hopefully he can contribute in some way, or maybe find his way onto the starting line as well. I mean, where are you at with this?
I'm definitely going to be feeling a little bit better. I think that some of those guys that were true freshmen last year, I really think could see the field. It really sucks not having that full off season, because I really felt like the O-line was going to be some of those places that maybe some of those younger guys that were, you know, pretty well
huge
recruited.
growth.
Yeah, that there was going to be a lot of growth in that area. And just, you need time as a unit to really be cohesive as an offensive line. It's really, it's really about that man next to you and really being able to play together. So
yeah,
it's going to be
Jaime's was the bright spot of that unit last year. He was really good.
Yeah, I mean, he looked really nice, and against NFL talent, especially again in his last game against Espinoza, like I was really impressed with him and his ability to really stop some of that pressure on the quarterback. And even with Farniok, hopefully he can take a step forward. Bryce Benhart, guys like that, I think that's going to be really interesting area. And I think we can at least be middle of the pack for college football. Good. Yeah.
Which last year we were literally terrible. I mean, we were outside in all the metrics, outside the top 100, basically in all metrics up until like the last few games of the year. And so, that's why a lot of people are giving Adrian Martinez grace, is because of the offensive line. Once we get a fair shake about how this offensive line is going to play out, where Adrian Martinez is at, that's when you have to start considering things. And that's kind of like a big question to kind of get answered early on. So as well, the running backs, the running game, obviously kind of reliant on the offensive line's performance. But last year we saw a lot of potential with Dedrick Mills heading into the end of the season in those like Wisconsin, the Iowa games. He was real solid, moving the ball on the ground with some pretty nice, 15, 20-yard plays to get the ball upfield. So shout out the run game for Nebraska. But I mean, this year we're looking at Dedrick, maybe some of the young guys, Sevion Morrison, Ramir Johnson, Ronald Tompkins. Who you liking in that backfield?
Yeah, I think Ramir Johnson's pretty exciting. We've heard a lot about him for a while. I think if he can stay healthy, that I think he's going to definitely share some touches. But I mean, Dedrick Mills looked so good as our offensive line started to kind of, blossom a little bit last year and just be able to get some blocks. Our running game wasn't half bad. And Dedrick Mills had a lot to do with that. He was an aggressive runner. He could take a hit. And it was really nice to see. And I think Dedrick Mills has a lot of potential. And if all goes well, I mean, I think he could have like 800 yards, which would be awesome.
But I think overall the offense as a whole is interesting. And there's potential there depending on the QB play and how much this offensive line grew as a unit going into this year. There's potential for this to be a great offense. How good is Omar Manning? The potential's there, but it's hard to plant your flag on this team with so many question marks on multiple cores.
And we also have a new offensive coordinator in Lubbock this year too.
Right. And so you're working, with Frost and Matt Lubbock and how that's going to play out as well. So a lot of questions overall on the offensive core. I think I'm definitely hesitantly optimistic, all things considered.
Agreed.
But it all at the end of the day, it all comes down to Adrian Martinez and how he plays and how, or how Luke McCaffrey plays if he ends up finding his way into that starting spot eventually. So there's a lot riding on that QB in the offense at the end of the day. So heading on to defense here, we're not returning as many guys as we did on the offensive side, obviously, but I think overall most of our key players are returning defensively. I think people are kind of like looking at the defensive line as some of the bigger question marks, but Ben Stilley's still there and Damian Daniels and a few other guys, but like not a ton of talent overall that is like obvious, and so I think that's probably the biggest question mark on the defensive side is that D-line. What do you think about the D-line? Where are you at with like the linebacking core? What do you think?
I mean, yeah, obviously Carlos and Khalil, really love them. I mean, they played for us for, pretty much all 4 years. They were instant impact guys. And, those were the guys that were really hunting the quarterback and getting stacks. I really like Ben Stilley, though. Like you said, I think he's going to be a really solid defensive end. And
agreed.
Just getting him on there, and Damian Daniels is not bad either too. So, and he's just going to be a junior this year, so this year is going to be important for him and just developing into maybe a little bit more of what his brother was able to do. The depth is definitely concerning, especially when we're talking about injuries. There isn't a lot there. There's not a lot of meat on the bone, especially when you compare it to last year. But with the 3-4
you're looking like Feldarius Payne, some of the transfers, and see what they can do.
Yeah,
like that's kind of like the question marks there. I think overall it's a weird group to say the least. Realistically, the defense really rides on how good is our linebacking core going to be.
And we've kind of leaned on that for a while, and it has been poor.
Horrible.
Terrible.
Horrible.
I mean, there's a couple bright spots, like, you have Luke Gifford, who is great, and we have JoJo coming back. But besides those two guys, in the last 5 years, it's been bad. Really bad.
It's been bad. Running a 3-4, you have to rely on those guys, and we had no athleticism back there last year, at least not enough athleticism back there last year to keep up with the best teams, and it really came out to bite us. I mean, this year, hopefully JoJo's the full-time outside linebacker, at least on one side. Caleb Tanner has the athletic build to be a solid player. His instincts seem to be lacking last year. His football IQ didn't necessarily seem to be there. But hopefully another year in the system will help develop that. I mean, the middle linebacker situation, where are you at with Will Honus and Colin Miller?
It's just kind of the same thing like with Mo Berry too. Like they're not great in coverage. And they're only okay in run stop. They're really hit or miss. And it's literally they either hit the guy or they miss. Yeah, towards the end of the year, like against the Wisconsin game, I was actually I was impressed. Caleb Tanner was able to get there, and we were actually able to get inside a little bit and actually create some damage. But our linebacker core has been left us with a lot to be desired for these last few years. It really, 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 really badly needs to improve. I mean, maybe some of these young guys can come in.
For sure. And I think last year we talked about how much we had to rely on Lamar Jackson playing ISO ball on the outside. And it worked early on in the year against the bad teams. But then Lamar started getting exposed against some of the good teams. And there's a lot of pressure in that same boat with Cam Taylor and Dicaprio Bootle, Braxton Clark as well. You know, as the cornerbacks outside, how much can they handle, you know, playing into ISO? How much are they going to need that help over the top? Because realistically, we're going to need our safeties to probably come up and make some plays near the line of scrimmage sometimes, especially in the run game. And and hopefully we can rely on Bootle and Cam Taylor and Braxton Clark to survive out there on the island.
I mean, I love how tenacious Bootle is. He's really physical. He's kind of undersized. I definitely think he gets away with some stuff, but I like his tenaciousness. I think he'll be okay. Obviously, Cam Taylor Britt is like our most important safety.
He's great.
Yeah,
he's great. We expect him to play corner this year, though.
Yeah, which is tough because I'd really like him to be in more of the plays. And he again, just high football IQ. He really feels like he just has a knack for where the ball is going to go. And I feel like he understands the defensive system pretty well. And it's just, he feels really comfortable roaming around back there. So
the X factor is that he played safety last year because Deontay Williams went out with injury.
Yeah.
And so with Dismuke and Williams back there, I think you have to play the talent overall and capitalize with Cam out at corner. But it's possible we see him shift in and move around the field quite a bit. It's definitely possible.
All right, we'll start going with the predictions.
Oh baby,
we start off with about as exciting game as it can be.
Game. It's so easy, man.
Yeah, just take a nap. You get a
cupcake.
Yeah, nothing
it's
easier
like we're
than
playing
Ohio
in
State.
FCS school, man.
Exactly. Justin Fields, never heard of him.
No. But yeah, we got an interesting one in the horseshoe off the rip against Ohio State. You know, Urban Meyer's former squad. It's a fun one to say the least. I mean, at the end of the day, we all expect Ohio State to be locked and loaded. Their defense, you know, at least there's some questions on the defense for the first time in a while going into a new season for Ohio State.
There's no Bosa?
Yeah, there's no Bosa.
Chase
there's
Young
no
doesn't live there anymore.
There's not like a locked and loaded top 15 pick guaranteed off the start of the season. What? Yeah. But at the end of the day, we all expect their defense to be just fine. And we all know for a fact that offense is going to be incredible.
Urban Meyer said that all 11 offensive players are going to the NFL, and Ryan Day says the same. So they are absolutely stacked. They're going to put up points. I don't know how many they're going to put up on our team, but it is going to be more than 35. We saw how good Justin Fields is. I mean, gosh, you know, they were in the college football playoff last year.
We get a nice prime time nationally televised game off the rip.
Nice. Where we get to watch Ohio State just embarrass us.
Oh man, every year, man. It's just tough, bro.
But they embarrass everybody, everyone. Michigan.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I mean, what's your prediction? I don't think we need to talk too much more about this one. It's probably not going to be pretty.
I'm going to say it's an L. If it was a morning game, I don't think it's going to be like a crazy blowout. If it's a night game, we're going to get smoked. That's what I said.
At least we're not playing in front of the crowds, you know. At least there's that. But I mean, again, realistically, we expect Adrian Martinez to be starting for this game. And when Adrian Martinez is starting, Caleb is going to predict an L.
Yeah, so, I mean, I do not trust him. I've lost faith. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, I expect our defense to be better. improved. I expect our offense to be improved. Overall, we should be a significantly improved team. Not enough to take down the Ohio State. So this is going to be a big L for sure, and a tough way to start off the season. Heading into a week 2 matchup against Wisconsin, which is obviously a big one for us if we want to compete in the Big Ten West this year. A more of a hope at this point than an actual realistic expectation. But at the end of the day, Wisconsin, they're replacing a lot of guys. I mean, they have a lot of interesting pieces gone. Jack Cohn, is he the starter? Potentially, probably at this point. He had a nice completion percentage last year, but is that enough to keep his job? The big headliner, no Jonathan Taylor. So how's this running game going to look? What are your thoughts about Wisconsin?
I think that they're down, honestly. I legit think they are. With no Jonathan Taylor, I mean, again, they were so beatable last year. We had a chance to beat them
until we allowed a kick return for a touchdown,
which was the same with Iowa.
Wait, our special teams, though.
Hey, that's true. We didn't talk about this. We didn't talk about our special teams. We're feeling a lot better.
New special teams, coaching staff, some more depth pieces for the special teams and all over the place. I think the unit should be better placed. And kicking, we've hopefully can be in a good spot kicking wise now. Barrett Pickering did announce his transfer though, which is a little concerning. But Wisconsin though, I agree. I mean, they're not going to be as dominant as they've been in the past. I don't think this is going to be a little bit different than before. Their defensive side, they're returning their whole secondary. Their linebacking core looks a little different, to say the least. I'm not as intimidated by their linebacking core as you normally would be. On the offensive side of the ball, again, no Quintez Cephas, no Jonathan Taylor. The offensive line, they lost their starting center, who's a really good player, got drafted by the Cowboys. So all over the place. I think we have a chance.
Agreed.
Caleb?
I agree. I mean,
okay,
they're going to hype up Jalen Berger and Nakia Watson. But let me say this.
Can they drop 200 yards on us rushing?
Exactly. Wisconsin running backs, if they're good, we see them as freshmen, and we have seen them as freshmen. We saw James White torch us as a freshman. We saw Jonathan Taylor torch us as a freshman when they had tons and tons of good running backs, and they weren't good enough to see the field. I am not as concerned. Will they be good? I'm sure they will. They usually have a pretty good offensive line. Losing their starting center though does really help. We definitely have a chance.
Yeah, we do.
I know. I'll take the win on this one. Why not?
Oh man.
Why not? Adrian has stopped starting. I mean, he throws.
It would feel so good.
He throws 4 picks against Ohio State. It's rough. It's bad.
So you're saying he gets benched after the Ohio State game? In comes McCaffrey.
Yeah.
And we take the dub. Wow. I don't know, man. I feel like I need to take the safe route and predict the L here. I think we have a good chance. I'm going to take us in a close, devastating loss again.
Dang it. Why you got to break my heart, Josh?
I know, man. Like a 31-28 type loss where we just blow it at the end of the game.
Is it overtime again?
Adrian Martinez
Are we going to blow it in
starting.
overtime again?
Nah, it's a missed field goal or something at the end of the game. It's going to be something depressing. And Adrian Martinez is still starting at this point in my mind as well. So I'm going to take us with the L there, heading into a game in Northwestern, which has always been a scary one for us Nebraskans. Caleb, what are your thoughts?
Oh, man. Good old Northwestern. We beat them last year. They were the worst offensive team in the whole entire country last year. And
that was a bloodbath game. That was disgusting.
Yeah, and they averaged 12.7 points per game last year. That's laughable. That's laughable. Hilarious. They got some QB corner controversy. They got Aiden Smith, Hunter Johnson, or Peyton Ramsey. Probably Ramsey, but it's not great. Obviously, when you have a quarterback carousel and it's not amazing options, you don't feel
Peyton
great.
Ramsey's at least interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
last year they're basically just running the ball with Aiden Smith.
Yeah, the one nice thing is Isaiah Bowser did look like a good running back as the season progressed.
Drake Anderson as well.
So
that was a pretty interesting duo.
So that is the one nice thing about him, but we should win this game. I'm just going to take the W, but it's going to be close. I mean, I feel like this game is legit a coin flip every year. So
I mean, realistically, I would imagine it's going to be on the road, which means Adrian Martinez struggles. But for you don't have Adrian Martinez playing anymore, do you?
Easy win. Luke McCaffrey.
So, yeah, exactly.
Easy win.
So that's what I'm saying. You got to take the dub.
Yes.
For me, Adrian Martinez is still starting at this point. I think he's going to struggle on the road. We're going to end up getting the dub in a really nail biter type way again. It's going to be a close dub, but I'll take the dub in scary fashion, to say the least, heading into a home game against Penn State. Thank you, Big Ten, for giving us Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Penn State in our first 4 games.
I love it.
Very nice of you.
I love it. What a better, I mean, these are the games that matter and the most exciting.
And again,
so I'm at it.
In a year where all the players can maintain their eligibility if we want them to.
Give us everything. Give us Michigan.
Give us
I want Clemson.
The
we
best
want
teams
Bama.
in the league. Amen.
Let's have it at least be fun. So, I mean,
yeah.
Okay, I've seen people say that this is a sleeper, like we could upset game. I do not believe that in the slightest. Penn State.
Yeah, this has been like a kind of popular upset pick.
I have no clue why. I don't know.
Although maybe Micah Parsons isn't coming back on the defensive side for Penn State.
Their linebackers.
Remember, he opted out of the season.
This is true,
and they're not sure if he can come back yet. And he was an elite player. I mean, he's probably going to go in like the top 20 in the NFL draft. So that is good news for us.
The problem is they have like multiple linebackers that are like NFL caliber.
Oh yeah, the running game's interesting. Obviously, they have Minnesota's offensive coordinator now. That
true.
Scares me.
That's true. They do have a new offensive coordinator, which is a little interesting. But was that PJ Flex magic? Was that offensive coordinator PJ
That's
Flex?
the big question. That's the big question.
Their running backs are really good. I think that they do actually have some really nice running backs, and it is an actual 4-headed monster in Brown, Ricky Slade, Noah Cain, and Devin Ford. And then the freshman Keziah Holmes, I think is actually like really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel about like Sean Clifford at QB? I mean, you know,
game manager type again. Like, I don't think he's as fun as like Chase McSorley or anything like that. Yeah, he'll be okay. I mean, he's gonna do work against us, and I don't really see us winning this one unless like they just lay an egg. If we're actually good, and that the thing is, Franklin isn't great against ranked opponents on the road. So if we were actually,
but at the end of the day, I expect us to lose this one, right? I'm gonna go like a 38 to 21 situation.
Yeah,
like where we maybe hang in there in the first half, or we have a few nice glimmering drives, but nothing's gonna work. And again, Adrian Martinez, I expect to struggle against a solid Penn State defense.
Yeah, if Luke McCaffrey was starting, even still, I think we lose again. Just their defense is a lot better and more consistent. They're going to create some turnovers.
Now, 4 weeks into the year, the depth is going to matter, and we know Penn State's got depth.
Yep.
And I don't know where we're at depth-wise. That's my biggest worry. I'll take the L there as well. So that heads us into an Illinois game at home. I mean, hey, all right. Okay.
Hey,
I like our odds.
Me too. I'm liking this one. I think Illinois is actually fun though.
They upset Wisconsin.
Yeah. Again, Wisconsin can lose to Illinois. I really think we have a good chance of beating them.
The problem is Wisconsin doesn't underestimate us. They underestimate Illinois.
That's true. You do have a point, but again,
they lost a few linebackers. They lost Harding and Bentiku, and Bentiku absolutely destroyed us when we played him last year.
Oh my, he was insane.
Incredible all over the field against us. I mean, you know, he wasn't like some all-star for him throughout the year, but at the end of the day, you know, they've got Jake Hansen and Sidney Brown, Nate Hobbs, overall like safety and corner. The Hansen kid was interesting. The Hansen kid was definitely solid. He made some big time mistakes throughout the season. I actually went back to watch him a little bit. Overall, I would expect us to be able to take care of business at home in a comfortable environment. I'll take Nebraska to win this game for sure.
Agreed. All right, next we have Iowa. Oh, what a good time.
Yeah, potentially on Black Friday.
Yes,
which is pretty exciting.
That would be really exciting if that was the case.
Is going to be in Iowa. So,
ooh,
you know, very interesting. Yes, but of course, Iowa's coming off a season where they're losing Tristan Wirfs, AJ Epinesa, Nate Stanley, some big time pieces for him. Some of the best players they've had in a long time outside of tight ends in Iowa. And, you know, they do have a lot of talent at the skill positions on offense. I mean, it's definitely solid. The receiving core is nice with Smith, Marset, the kid who returned a kick against us last year.
Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of like overall talent, I think, in their receiving core. But like the big question is Spencer Petras, their new QB. How's that going to play out? I mean, where are you at with his defense? I mean,
again, I see Iowa's extremely, extremely beatable this year. Obviously, they always come in very hungry in the games. We've been really close, even when they have had, I felt like, more talent than us. Tight ends have been burning us. We got their best tight end. We got Fedone this year.
Which is exciting.
I feel like Iowa's very, very beatable, and I pick us to win this game. Obviously, it's going to be close. It's at their place, but I expect us to pull out with this win.
Oh, I forgot to mention, after the Penn State game, I expect Adrian Martinez to be benched for Luke McCaffrey. So he'd be starting in the Illinois game, and now in the Iowa game, obviously.
And we obviously know he's special from the last Iowa game last year.
Yes,
so.
Yes.
That's
and
where
so
the hype
all things
train
considered,
really
I'm gonna have us beat Iowa, man. I'm buying into the hype this year that we are going to beat Iowa in Iowa. It's going to feel so good.
Yeah.
And this is the year it's happening. Finally.
I mean,
finally. It's been way too long. It's embarrassing.
Yes, it has been, obviously, against Wisconsin too. I literally just keep picking us against Wisconsin because of the fact that we keep losing. So I'm just, I'm speaking into life, dude. I'm Lamar balling it.
Yikes, I'm scared. But I agree. Yeah, it's tough. But next game after Iowa, though, is at Purdue, which is, again, it's been a little bit of a problem for us. The big headliner is Wan'Dale Moore, whether or not he's going to be playing this season or not. Some people think he is. Some people think he's not. Hasn't been officially ruled yet. Does the outcome of the game, in your mind, rely on Wan'Dale Moore playing? Yes. Or does it just make you a little bit more worried if he is?
All right, but in the same light, though, like we had that Aiden O'Connell kid when Plummer went out, drive down the field, and like come back and beat us in one of the most painful fashions ever.
It was terrible, man.
One of the worst losses I've ever experienced as a Nebraska fan,
yeah.
Honestly. That one in the Indiana game. So,
but guys,
Scott Frost has broken our hearts.
Bob Diaco's there.
Let's go.
Bob Diaco's there.
Do you feel the strain? Can you feel it?
Yes.
Can you see the strain?
So Bob Diaco is their D coordinator now. So, that motivation, hey, there's a little bit of fun. There's a little bit of fun backstory there with Bob Diaco in Nebraska. Obviously, the players just don't really care. It is a fun little storyline to have Bob Diaco there as their D coordinator. Again, Purdue, obviously, Wan'Dale Moore, but then they had a lot of youth last year that got to see a lot of experience on the field. So if they developed it well, they could be a pretty surprising team this year to kind of make a big jump forward, which worries me a little bit considering that we're playing them late in the year, giving them time to develop and kind of improve as the weeks go on. I'm nervous about this game, to be honest.
Same.
Especially if Wan'Dale Moore is playing. But if Luke McCaffrey is starting at this point, I'm taking the W. I'm believing in our offense developing like that and giving us a dub on the road.
Same. And from what I've heard from a lot of the Purdue sports writers, they are doubtful that Wan'Dale Moore comes back, even though he didn't, sign an agent or anything like that. They just think that with all the catches he had, there's enough film for him. He's going to be a top 20 pick. Yeah, so they say that he's probably just going to train up, do really well at the combine, take the NFL money, which, you can't
run his 4.39 or whatever it's going to be. And
exactly.
Take the cash. I wouldn't blame him. Especially after the injury scare last year. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, he is. So going into kind of our marathon game here, the last game of the year against Minnesota, man, it's worrying. It's worrying. This is going to be a tough game. It's going to be tough. Tanner Morgan looked fantastic last season, and I think a lot of people are predicting him as like a sleeper Heisman candidate, depending on what Minnesota can do this year. Obviously, though, they lost Tyler Johnson. They lost Antoine Winfield Jr. They lost their offensive coordinator to Penn State. So there are some changes on the offensive side. Is Rashad Bateman playing? That's a big question mark.
He wants to come back.
If he's not, he wants to come back, but will he be able to? We don't know yet. And so if they don't have Rashad Bateman, I'm a little bit more excited about this game because the firepower on the offense scares me right now.
As frustrating as it is, Tanner Morgan was really good. And he was a surgeon to us.
That offensive line's so good.
True. And again, just with a bunch of nobodies, their offensive line, again, just shows what, good coaching can do, man. They just look so cohesive.
I'd be surprised if their defense is as good as last year. I feel like I kind of buy into the hype, even though Minnesota is obnoxious.
Exactly.
So I'll take the L.
Fake
I'll take
Minnesota
the L
fans that I've never seen in my life until last year. I didn't know they existed.
They skipped to this exact moment.
They were hiding in their lakes like a bunch of swamp people. And then they just rose out of nowhere.
Oh, no.
And we're like, oh, ski-you-ma. We exist, I swear.
Row the boat.
I've been here.
Let's just say I didn't see him in the stadium.
Yeah, exactly.
But
let me shake my car keys.
It's tough, man. It's tough. But I'm going to have to predict the L for now. Hopefully I am horribly wrong.
I hope they just suck, and then like we can just like laugh at this.
Or we're just incredible. How about that? Can we just be incredible?
Or yeah, we're just amazing. Or both. Let's just have it be both ways.
Yeah, both. I'm down. But yeah. So overall, what's your end-all be-all record heading into this like bowl game type situation here at the end of the year for Nebraska?
Yeah. So I guess I'm more on the optimistic side. I'm really hoping that the coaching staff, in what my mind is the right decision to start Luke McCaffrey early. I believe that that's going to happen. Again, I feel like I've seen enough Adrian Martinez at this point. You know, we've seen him for 2 seasons worth of work. He's injury prone, which leaves our team, you know, flustered in the game plan. He's proven that he's going to get injured. And also, you know, his decision making was just so bad last year and just digressed so far. And we gave him a full season to kind of figure that out. Josh and I were both optimistic after that Illinois game, but all that confidence just seemed to just dissipate
after Ohio State.
He was
it'll do it to you.
He was seeing Akuda every single week.
The ghost of Akuda.
Yeah, so I hate saying that because I was so excited about him coming into his sophomore year. I believe that we have other options. Our team needs to keep moving forward to win, and I think
best case scenario we're 6-2.
Agreed.
Where Minnesota's not as good as we think they're going to be, and so we end up beating them, and then we like pull the upset off against Wisconsin. We lose to Ohio State, Penn State, and that's where we kind of end up. And in that world, we would probably end up in the Big Ten championship.
Would be insane
to play against Ohio State again. So that would be crazy. I mean, 5-3 for you,
which I think for both of us would be the first time Luke McCaffrey would play Ohio State, which would be at least fun.
Which would be fun. True. That is interesting. Yeah, I mean, 5-3 for you would give us a chance for the Big Ten championship if you're beating Wisconsin. It would be the tiebreaker potentially.
West has felt this way where it's like, you know, you could be a Northwestern and kind of sneak up in there when you maybe shouldn't.
Yeah, and especially in a year like this, you know.
Yeah,
it's definitely
a weird year. But yeah. I think 4-4 to 6-2 is, you know, are definitely our range. 3 if it's really bad.
If Adrian Martinez is starting the whole year for you.
Yeah.
Nah, sounds good. So yeah, there's a lot more to talk about obviously, but we'll leave that for now and talk a lot more about Husker football in the upcoming few days and few weeks before the start of this season. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Drop all your comments down below. We know you got a lot of them, and so drop all your opinions about where we're going to be, where we're right, where we're wrong about these games,
why we're going undefeated, winning the college football playoff. Scott Frost at the top, and we can laugh at everybody. We can laugh at Desmond Howard.
Preach.
Also, I love you, Ohio State.
We're already laughing at Desmond Howard. Yeah, shout out Ohio State fans. We do love you. It's been a blast so far. We're excited to play against you week 1 and ruin your season, although we still love you. But as always, guys, I'm Josh. That's Caleb. This has been Backseat Sports. And guys, we will see you next time. Woo! We out.